Hey guys, this is Coach Dan with My Got Game. I'd like to welcome Kasey Hill to the show today. Kasey was a McDonald's High School All-American in his early days, was a big AAU star. I have a personal relationship with Kasey. I kind of knew him early on, and then he kind of went on to stardom on his own. But great player, great handles, had a great career, and is still playing now over in Europe. So welcome to the show, Kasey.
I appreciate it, Coach. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
It's
man.
nice to see you.
Awesome. So I know right now you're kind of in between gigs, between playing over in Europe and over here in the United States, and I know you're kind of waiting on that call for the next team. So we're going to grab you here for a couple minutes and try and take advantage of you some time and just kind of have a little Q&A session for some of our My Got Game viewers and maybe give them some kids and some parents some tips along the way.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good.
So at what age did you realize you wanted to play ball in college? Was there a trigger moment, or did you kind of have that desire right from the get-go? I know you were an all-around athlete and played a lot of sports, but what kind of triggered when you thought, hey, I think I can do this at a higher level?
I would say once I was really good at football first. And then my brother had came home from a Gator game one time with one of his friends. I think it was Brett Merrill. And I had saw all the guys had signed the posters, autographs. And I just started watching basketball a lot more. I was always playing it, but I just started watching it a lot more. And I would say when my brother came home with that autograph poster, that's when I kind of wanted to I started thinking about playing college basketball, because that was the first college basketball team I saw.
He went up to was it a football game or a basketball game?
It was a basketball game.
Okay,
Corey Brewer, Matt Walsh.
Oh yeah,
I forgot who else signed that team though. It was a whole bunch of dudes.
So that's why you kind of followed the Gators so much.
Early, I saw them early.
Oh, cool. That's good. So outside of talent and skills, because we all have to have that in order to go to the next level. But what would you say would be the second most trait you think today's student athlete should work on improving? Would it be maybe their academics, the attitude, the leadership, getting along with others, or something else? I know they're all important, but if you had to kind of rank them, what would you think outside of the talent? Because you got to have the talent, but outside of the talent, what do you think would be important for today's kids?
Outside of the talent, I would say my top three things that I live by are morals, loyalty, and respect. And I think if you have the right morals, you have the right loyalty, and you have the right respect, then I think it makes a lot of things a lot more easier to deal with. Some kids also they don't have to have those top three things as their the way that they want to live, because some people come from different backgrounds.
Sure.
So I think that creates the way that it's just like your upbringing kind of is the way that you should create your morals, I would say. But I would say definitely those three things for sure: the loyalty, the respect, and
yeah, that's good. The loyalty carries you a long ways too. Obviously, outside of basketball and outside of sports, you kind of have to learn that along the way. After I think it was after your eighth grade year, it might have been your seventh grade year. I know you played varsity basketball when you were in seventh grade, but you eventually transferred to Montverde Academy. What was that transition like for you, and was it good or bad? And what would you say to up and comers like yourself who might be considering making a move? Because I know at that age, kids you're really impressionable. You don't want to leave your kids, and it's kind of hard to go, especially if you're going from a public school to a private school, because private schools these days, they're almost like little colleges. So what would you say to a parent and their child if they're taking that into consideration? What should they look for?
I would tell them first and foremost to go to Montverde Academy easily. But I would tell them like that's the best decision I think I could have ever made because it taught me how to be like I had already grew up very fast, but that made me grow up a lot more faster, like physically, like mentally, like more competitive, learning how to work hard, learning how to be around other great players, learning how to be around great teachers, great students. Like I was around a totally different type of vibe. Like it was Asian people at my school. It was Puerto Ricans at my school, Venezuelans. Like it was all type of people at
Right,
my school.
right,
So it wasn't great. It wasn't also great for basketball. It was great for just like me growing up as a young individual, young teenager, just playing basketball. Like the basketball part was fun. That was easy, but the like getting to know people, like create some of those guys, like the soccer players. I still talk to some of those guys to this day, just from just being
right.
cool. Like, and they were
Sure.
really good too. You know, it created a lot more than just basketball. But on the basketball side, I would say that was the greatest thing I could have done because I was already like nationally known, but it's like I went from nationally known to nationally known now. Like
Right.
my
Kind of
team, my
raise you up to another level with all the exposure.
for sure.
And you talk about the different kids, the different nationalities, you know, it kind of expands your culture at an early
Hmm.
age, which, you know, a lot of kids, you know, if you're a small town, you go into a public school, you know, you're going to see the small town public school friends. Whereas
Every
if you
single
go
day.
to, you know, a more higher end private elite school, you're going to get more
Hmm.
exposure probably to different personalities and stuff. So pros and cons on both sides, I would think.
For
Um,
sure.
Speaking of that, you were a McDonald's high school All-American. So getting noticed wasn't that difficult for you. I think you were ranked seventh in the country somewhere. Different polls had you
Hmm.
ranked really high when you came out of high school. Got to play in the McDonald's All-Star game, but a lot of players and parents, they don't have that same kind of exposure or skill set. What would you suggest to them these days to try and help get more exposure as far as utilizing a recruiting service or talking to a coach or going to a camp? How can they get their exposure?
I would say the best way right now to get exposure is they have to play. Like you have to be seen. First of all, you have to play to be seen. And the internet is it's not as crazy because of the way our generation is now. But the internet, things have to just be posted on the internet. Your child has to be seen. Like you never know. Everybody's on the internet. Everybody's watching stuff on the internet. And sometimes guys, you know, they get like offers and stuff off of just blowing up off of the internet. Not saying that every child has to do that, or every kid has to do that, but I think that's a big step of helping a kid out just by getting them. That pushes their exposure a lot more, and you can also do it like you can do it individually now. You don't need somebody to do it for you. You know, like you can start your own like branding. You know, you can push yourself all type of ways, but I would say you have to play. You have to play for sure to
Sure.
get to get that exposure. You have to go somewhere where your child is going to be seen. Like he
Right.
has to be able to play to get seen. And once you once you're seen, then you get judged off of like how you're playing. So you get invited to these camps. You get invited to these team events or these you know big Nike camps and all those type of things. It's just
Right.
you have to be seen first though, but you have to be in that environment where it's like it's my show. Like
Right.
you have to kind of be selfish. You got kids have to be really selfish, and that's hard. That's a hard mentality to create in kids at a young age. But if you want to be a pro or professional, like you have to create that selfish mentality
Yeah,
in
and
somewhere.
probably depending on where you're going, you kind of want to look at the competition too. The better competition you're playing
Hmm.
against, the better exposure the camp's going to
Exposure
give
you're
you,
gonna
and
get.
probably better recruiting by college coaches and things like that. You know, you touched on one of the subjects too. I wasn't sure what we were going to talk about today, but you know, the internet, it's out there, you know, and everybody's
Hmm.
posting things, and that kind of brings
Hmm.
me to another point of of the do's and don'ts, what to say and what not to say on Facebook and Instagram. You got to be careful about, because coaches, and recruiters, they'll form opinions of you based on how you're talking on the internet. What would you say to kids and parents about, kind of monitoring or putting a governor on some of the things that you say or don't say on the internet?
I think it's just as simple as, like, every kid is not perfect. Like, I'm not gonna say that I don't say things that like, I'm gonna say bad things behind, not bad things, but I'm gonna say things that people don't like
Right.
behind the camera. So I would say that it's just as simple as you put out and you say the things that you would say to your mom or your dad, or your parents or your grandmothers, like people that you have respect for, kind of like you just know right from wrong. Like, you know what to say, you know what not to say. You know this is too crazy.
Sure.
This is just fine. Like, I think it's just that simple, that you just gotta, all right, I wouldn't say this to my mom, I wouldn't say this to my dad, so I'm not gonna put this on the internet. Nobody needs to know that. Or if I don't talk like this around my mom and I don't talk like this around my dad, I'm not gonna talk like this on the internet. Like, if the college coach comes to your house and he sees that you're this way around your mom, you're this way around your dad, maybe you might have a slighter leash, but you have to get better with that. Like, you have to learn how to
Sure.
get better with the things that you say. And as you get older and as you get in college, they kind of teach you those type of things
Yeah,
too.
just
Also,
like everything in life, right? You continue to get better.
Yep.
Or worse.
Yep. Better or worse. It's that simple.
And you grow and you learn from those experiences. So
sure.
Moving on, we'll talk briefly about your freshman year at Florida. That was a big transition for you, I'm sure. And you got put on a big stage early. Your freshman year at Florida, I think you guys went undefeated in the SEC, won the SEC championship. Then you went to the Final Four, got beat by the eventual national champion UConn that year. I remember in the regionals, to this day, I think you're one of 3 players who had 9 or 10 assists against UCLA as a freshman. I think Magic Johnson and there was one of the other kids. But what was that experience like? Your freshman year, and then you kind of had to grow through it your next couple of years because you didn't have that same level of success as a team. You had that success, but the team didn't. So how'd you kind of transition from high school? Then the next year you're on the Final Four national stage. Then the next couple of years, not quite at the same level. That had to have been kind of turbulent and pulling on you at different times.
Yeah, that was very, like you said, turbulent for sure. That was an up and down roller coaster ride, because I came from winning the national championship in high school to going straight to the University of Florida and going straight to the Final Four. So everything was high. Like, everything was high. I was winning, like, at a really, really high clip, playing against some of the best players in the country. But it also was I went from starting every single game every single game I ever played in my life in basketball, to not starting every single game. So that was the first thing that was, like I said, it was very turbulent. It was like a drop. Like, I didn't understand that because I never came from that before. So that was a bump. But my team was so good that I was able to overcome that. Like, so individually, I was pissed because I wanted to play. Like, I felt like I was the best player on the team. I came from playing every single game to being the best player on the team. That's how I feel wherever I go. So I didn't get that. I didn't get that same, like, opportunity, same culture, I would say. So it changed that quick. So, but we were winning. So it was another positive, and I love to win too. So I sat back, I played my role, we won, and that was like one of the best worst seasons I ever had. But it was memorable. Like, all right, that's gonna go to the grave with me. Like, and it helped me grow as a young 18-year-old, 19-year-old high school All-American who thought he had everything figured out. So it definitely humbled me, and I'm back to, I ain't gonna say I'm back, but it humbled me and it brought me back to, like, earth a little bit, to to work, to learn how to work, to learn how to compete, to learn
Right.
how to win. You know, like it just
Yeah,
taught me
absolutely.
more basketball
Absolutely.
stuff.
You kind of learn when you get older, that real world kind of, slaps you in the face sometimes.
Hmm.
You find out that there's other people out there. So, but I think you touched on it too about role playing. You kind of
Hmm.
found your role and the team was successful. So that helped you kind of accept it.
Hmm.
It's okay.
Yeah.
We're one of the best teams in the country. We just set a
Number one.
record, went undefeated in the SEC. It had never happened before. And you were on the first team to do it. So, okay, yeah, I can probably learn from this. I'll go with it. And like you said, you became a role player. That's the way it is in life, right? That's the way it is in life later on
Exactly.
too. So you get that experience.
Exactly.
Another benefit or experience that you get from sports. Um, so let's talk about after college. So after
Hmm.
you won an SEC championship, went to the NCAA Final Four like we
Hmm.
just talked about, set a few records along the way. I think at the time that you
Hmm.
left, you were second or third all-time leading in assists, and I think in the top 5 or somewhere close to it in steals at University of Florida. You had a few tryouts with some NBA teams. I know you got really close, but for whatever reason didn't get to close the deal on an NBA team. So you've been able to go overseas and travel and play overseas. What's that like? What's the transition to go, from the United States over to playing in overseas in a foreign country, I guess, where you're not even speaking the home language? I would think that's quite a challenge as well.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I'm very easygoing, so it's not that hard for me because I always know I'm gonna come back home. But like honestly, the way like things have been going like these last 2 years, like especially with the cops and stuff, like it's just becoming more noticeable.
Uh-huh.
As I think about like getting older, like and wanting to raise a family, I think about like honestly staying overseas, like because it's some places are just it's better. It's a better environment for your
Wow.
child, like your for a black child, for
Right.
example, or African American child. It's better. They're not gonna get killed by a cop.
Getting
Like
labeled or
they
something.
have
Yeah.
yeah, they have actual rules and stuff like that. So that's
Right.
very like that sticks out to me a lot because of
Sure.
what's going on back when I'm home in America. But the basketball part, so I'll be honest, the toughest part for me was the traveling and stuff like that and like the gear and the like when you get if you're not in the Euro League and the top league as soon as you get overseas you're not traveling like you do in college like a private plane uh hotel bed
Right.
to yourself like or it's very very different you have to take a bus sometimes and you might fly if you're in your Euro Cup or Champions League or something like that but if you're just playing from country to country then you have to get on the bus or not country to country but city to city you have to get on the bus and then the basketball part that's just playing basketball I felt like that was better for me because I can get my killer instinct back dominating the ball and playing my game I feel like I was more of myself I got back to being more of myself I feel like in college I wasn't myself at all and I still had a decent career but I just feel like I wasn't myself at all because I didn't play how I wanted to play, and I feel like overseas has brought that back to me. So that's a positive
That's
for
good.
me
Yeah,
over
that's
there.
awesome. That's
And
awesome.
then the living is way different. It's very very different because the food is different, but it's also like some places have very very good food is better for you because they don't have so much salt and sugar and things like even in drinks and stuff and you can tell when you taste it, it might not be as good
Really,
because it's not as sweet or it's not as sour you know what I'm saying like how it
probably
is
better
back
for
home
you.
so because it's a lot better for you but you
Yeah,
might think it's nasty because it's better for you but that's just how it is over there um the living is apartments sometimes are a lot smaller but some countries have nicer apartments like I was in Germany last season and my apartment was great it was very big nice kitchen, nice living room. So it just really depends on like where you go, and you have to know like first you have to keep it. You got to keep it real with yourself. Like
sure.
that's how I handle. That's how I handle overseas. Like okay, I'm here for a reason. Things didn't go this way, but all right, I'm here now. Like I know what I got to do to get through being over here. Like I accepted it. I'm gonna do what I got to do,
There you go.
and I'm gonna be back home. Like it's really that simple. It's like it's not the end of the world. Like
No, absolutely
I'm
not.
traveling. I'm meeting new people. I get to see a whole different country. Like I'm from Umatilla, Florida.
Oh
Like
yeah, I know
people
where you're
don't, you know what I'm
from.
saying? People don't see this. I
Yeah,
seen a dirt road growing up. You know what I'm saying?
that's
So
right. How many people get to travel the world and play the game of basketball? You know, not too many,
exactly.
not too many. And you know, you're still a young man, and so I'll just kind of conclude it
Mhm.
here. You know, and you're still finding your way. You know, right? You're still growing every day,
Yeah, for
finding your
sure.
path. You know, going to find out where you're going to settle down. And you talked about a family. You know, you may, like you said, you may end up living overseas, and basketball is what took you there.
Hmm.
Sports is what took you there.
Hmm.
So you know, talk about, you know, maybe how you've benefited from the sport, and how other kids and parents, you know, can kind of share your experience and how they can benefit from sports as well. Doesn't necessarily have to be basketball, but in your case it is. But sports in general, you know, the competition, leadership skills and stuff you learn from playing sports.
Yeah, it's been very beneficial for me in many ways. Just meeting people, like meeting friends. Like I've met some friends through basketball that I'm gonna be with the rest of my life in
Sure.
college. Like,
Yeah.
and even though it was like my worst time playing basketball there, it was also like the best time because I met some of my best friends there that I'm gonna be with forever. And if I didn't do it that way, I would have never met these guys. Like, you know,
Right.
like it's little stuff like that. Like I think things go exactly the way they're supposed to go. Like it's gonna go as it's planned, but just the friendships that you meet with people, the not even on the basketball court, off the basketball court, like the students that you went to school with. Like I went to California this summer and visited one of my guys. His name is Perp Hayes. That he used to come to our basketball games at Florida, like when I was a freshman, until he left. You know what I'm saying? Like we used to always hang out, like
Right.
just in Midtown. Like no, he was a
Sure.
fan, but we became friends
Right.
because he was cool. You know what I'm saying? So you just meet a lot of people, and that's just like the school part. Like not even like the friends that you have like go pro and they're playing different sports. They're playing football. They're playing basketball. Like, and you just met them because that you happen to be good in basketball too. He happened to be good in football. Y'all both went to the University of Florida. Now y'all best friends for life. Like, you know,
Right. Yeah.
it's just simple stuff like that, man.
Sure.
And that's the best part about it for
And that, you
me.
know, and that's the way it happens. You know, later in the business world, you know, you run across people and
And in the
you
business
meet
world
them,
too. Yep.
and you know, no matter what you do in life, I know in my experiences as well in business, you know, sports along the way has really helped me, you know, pursue some of my
Hmm.
dreams and stuff. But I just want to thank you, Kasey, for spending the time with us today at My Got Game. We're going to stay in
Yes,
touch
sir.
with you and keep talking about some other topics coming up down the road. We hope you come back and
For
visit
sure.
with us again real soon.
Yes, sir. I'll be back for sure, Coach.
All
Thank you.
right. Thanks, Kasey.